Hey guys, today in round 6 at Oskemen Open in Kazakhstan, open tournament, very strong one. I've been making recaps about each day. If you've missed them, check them out. So today I was playing against a strong IM from Kazakhstan, formerly the champion of Kazakhstan, Kirill Kudarinov, to whom I lost a painful game in the previous tournament I was playing, also in Kazakhstan last month, October Open. He played in that one, he played one a4, disrespectful opening, and I got a great position out of the opening, but then I started going crazy and lost. Unfortunately, today I was prepared and I was ready to inflict some damage on my opponent and to try to go for a battle and have my revenge. So let's see if I managed to do this. He goes e4. This time he decides no a4 on the first move, because probably he realized that, judging by the previous game, that he will get a worse position out of the opening if he plays something like this. So he went e4 and I went g6. In turn, like playing aggressively and playing for a win. A very risky move. Actually, he was surprised when I played g6, because most often people, when playing this with black, are playing this for a win against a lower rated opponent. So this was also not disrespect, of course, but this was bold, I think. But I like this opening. I play this a lot in Blitz and sometimes in Classical, the modern defense. And I thought that, okay, I can lose, I can win, but I'll try to win. I need to get my revenge. So he goes d4. I go bishop g7, knight c3, d6, bishop e3. This is one of the main systems for white. I also play this with white. You go queen d2, long castles, and attack on the king side. Black usually goes knight f6, and castle short. And black attacks on the queen side, pushes the pawns like this, and white attacks on the king side. And it's a bit like a battle, skirmish, bloodbath, whatever you may call it. Very interesting positions arise. Black is objectively worse, and black is playing with fire, but that's what you do when you try to play for a win with black using this aggressive and risky opening. Magnus, by the way, very often plays this, and Hikaru as well, in Blitz especially. So a6, h4, going for h5. There are two moves here, h5 and h6, and I decided to go for h6. So if he goes h5, I go g5. That's the idea. Now he goes queen d2, like continuing the plan of preparing the long castles. But now I go b5. A very thematic move in such positions. Unless white prevents this with a4, black always goes for b5 and then b4, bishop b7, knight d7, putting pressure on e4, and then pushing c5. That's like the plans. You should know the plans, and you don't need to know the theory if you're playing this opening with black. a4, he tries to challenge my pawn chain, but I just go b4. I previously in Blitz, some people played against me knight d5, attacking this pawn, and you can choose between a5 defending it or knight d7 sacrificing it. But my opponent went for knight e2. I've never seen this move, but it's kind of logical. One of the possible moves. He wants to bring the knight here, push h5, and if I go g5, which was my intention all along, he will have the f5 square for the knight. So that's the idea. Well, okay, he can do it, but I go knight d7. Also, this pawn is hanging, but I'm just sacrificing it. And I didn't know during the game if this is correct or not, but the engine approves. The engine says it's the best move in the position, just sacrificing this pawn. Because if he takes, I go rook b8, attacking the queen and putting pressure over here. He will need to go here and then c5, breaking open this diagonal and putting a lot of pressure. And black is like, it's plus 0.4, even though black is down a pawn. That means that black has great compensation for the sacrificed pawn, and his pieces are a little bit clumsy here. So I would have enjoyed playing this position, and he realized that it's not good to take this pawn. Instead, he went knight g3, continuing with his plan. He wants to push, again, h5, and after g5, he will have this square for the knight. But here I go knight f6. I was also thinking of breaking with c5, but knight f6 is a normal move. I want to go here and win this dark squared bishop for my knight. And then I'll have the two bishops advantage. I will have the uncontested dark squared bishop. I will open the diagonal with c5, and I will have great counterplay. But he has also his plans of his own. So he pushes h5 still. And it turns out I should have gone for g5 here. The engine says that if he puts the knight here, I can just go back bishop f8, which is very counterintuitive. I would have never played this. But the idea is that then I'll be able to kick him back with e6 and then put the bishop back. But I did not like this. So instead of going g5, I continued my plan with knight g4. Now his knight is like in squares. So first he trades the pawns. And of course he can go bishop f4, but then I have e5, and at the end of the day, the bishop will have to drop back and I will win it for the knight and have a 2 bishops advantage. So here, instead of going bishop f4, which is not good, he chooses the best move, knight f3. So he realizes, okay, you can take my bishop, but then I have weaknesses. He realizes this. He will be able to put pressure also along this diagonal, which is open. I'm playing with fire again. This is a very risky opening. Do not try this at home unless you are prepared to play for, well, 3 results. Most likely 2 results, winning or losing. So I take his bishop. And here, I was hesitating between a5, e5 or c5. And it turns out that those moves are radically different. One leads to a dynamic, complex double-edged position. Another just loses. Can you guess which one loses and which one does not? So e5 is the right move. And I'm putting pressure over here. I rejected this because I didn't like the fact that the diagonal of my bishop is a little bit blocked and he can go c3, for example. But actually, yeah, it's a double-edged position, but this is the best I could have done. I went c5 and I'm immediately losing. This is so tragic, you know, when you play when you play such risky openings, the price, the cost of one move is very, very high. So you make one mistake, you fall into a deep well, so to say, because now you're in trouble because he finds e5. But for this move, black is fine, but it's very unpleasant. And I missed this. Unfortunately, I rushed with c5. So you will see that I spent like a minute and a half on c5. Instead, I should have waited. I should have thought for a longer time. And after e5, I'm like, why did I allow this? Because the idea is very clear. If I, for example, take this pawn, he has queen e4. And it's attacking my g6 pawn and also my rook in the corner, which I forgot about completely. And if I go, for example, rook b8, I'll just get crushed over here. This is a check. Then he has like knight f5, bishop c4 with mate threats. Everything wins for white here. So unfortunately, I cannot allow this. Queen e4, and I realized I'm in trouble. Of course, I have some passive moves like knight f8, protecting this pawn, but I didn't like it. I thought that like it shouldn't be good for me. He will just be able to take, for example. He will be able to castle long, and I won't be able to castle. Or if I take here, he will be able to add the knight to the attack, and yeah, it's horrible position for black. So of course I do not go for passivity. If you have a worse position, you should create counterplay. You should create chaos on the board. That's exactly what I'm doing here. Bishop b7. So bishop b7 prevents queen e4 with these ideas of putting pressure on g6 and on the rook on 8. Also, I have an idea of trading this bishop for the knight because this knight is menacing and destroying his pawn chain. Of course, he goes e takes d6, which is a logical move. I cannot take back because this is pinned, but I was anticipating this. And I consider 2 possibilities from afar. First of all, taking this knight, which I ended up doing, which is the best move. And also I consider taking this pawn first. And then after knight d4, going knight c5, because that was threatened and I have to prevent this. But I didn't like this position. Turns out I was correct. This is completely winning for white. White is winning after rook d1 or even long castles. I'm just not in time to develop my pieces, and my king is stuck in the center like my opponent's king in the previous game. Check out the recap. The previous game I played with white, I won in like 23 moves using the Jubauer report system. And Richard Report himself approved of this game, so check it out if you missed it. I decided against taking because knight d4 is like not good, so I decided to take this knight. At least I'm getting rid of one of the attackers of my opponent, which is usually a good rule of thumb when you're attacked, trading the pieces. He takes with a pawn, and now I take with the bishop. And my bishop is attacking the queen, it's attacking this pawn. At least I'm creating some chaos on the board. I realized that probably like I'm in trouble, but what to do? He goes queen e4. Now he is attacking this, and he's also attacking this. So for example, if I do nothing, he can he can sometimes like if he's castled, for example, he can take this, and if I take this, then this falls. Now, currently, he cannot do this because this will be a pin, but in future, this is one of the ideas. Also, another idea is to take here and then go bishop c4 and just try to checkmate me. But it's not trivial, and you need to calculate lots of lines. Here I was hesitating between knight f8, which is passive and not good, but still I calculated this. Knight e5, which is active but also not good. He can take here, and I cannot take because he'll take my rook, so I was calculating king takes e7, bone cloud in my king. But unfortunately, after long castles, my king is still in the center, his king has evacuated, and f4 is coming, and I'm not surviving this, so I did not like this. So knight e5, even though it looks active and logical, is not good. So I decided, you know what? I'll get rid of this pawn, like not get rid of this pawn, but I will sacrifice this pawn. Knight e5 or knight f8 would be an attempt to defend the pawn, but then he would have like easy attack, long castles, and I decided, okay, he'll take my pawn, but I'll take his pawn on b2, and now he's no longer castling his king. I have some counterplay of my own, which is practically, I think, the best decision. So again, if he takes here, I take here, and we trade the queens, and I'm safe and sound, so this is not good. So he goes bishop c4, a good move. He also could have taken this with check, and then gone for something like rook d1, but I had some nasty counterplay here, so he did not like something about it. He went bishop c4. Now his idea is clear. If I take the rook, for example, I blunder checkmate in 2. So this is a nice battery of the bishop and the queen. So of course I cannot take the rook. I have to do something about queen here and queen here threat. So what I do, I was calculating various lines here, like knight f8, but it's not good. It's like losing immediately. Lots of moves win here for him, including queen c7, queen c6, for example, or rook d1. And also this d7 is a nice move. I didn't see it during the game, but it's also winning. Similarly to what happens in the game, because after bishop c5, I didn't like knight f8, too passive, and I thought, okay, I'll go knight e5, trying to go for some counterplay, and I calculated that if he takes my pawn, which is a clever move, apparently, because if I take, then my rook will be hanging. I will take with a king, but first I will check him. That's what I calculated. And if he goes here, I have queen d2, and actually it's a draw, it's a drawn position after this. According to the engine, I didn't know it's a draw, but the engine says it's a draw somehow. Perpetual check is the most likely result. But of course, I thought that king f1 is better, and then I was expecting to take on e7. And the position is very messy. The engine says only rook e1 gives a big advantage to white. All other moves lead to equality, or like dynamic equality. So rook e1 is hard to find. So I was hoping that he would go for this, d takes e7, and I thought it's a logical move. But he found something better, which I missed, d7 check. Unfortunately, I could not have prevented this. It would have happened anyways, even if I saw it from afar. But I have to admit I missed it at this point. So d7, nice move. My pieces are overloaded. This knight should stay guarding the g6 pawn, so the knight cannot take, because that would lead to checkmate in 2, like this. Again, the battery works tremendously well. So the knight cannot take on d7. The queen has to stay guarding the rook on a8. It cannot take on d7, because then I'm down a rook, just easily winning for white. So the queen cannot take. And the king also cannot take, because just rook d1, and like I'm cooked. If I block with the bishop, then queen takes e5 wins, because this bishop is pinned, and he's up material, he's up a piece, and also attacking me. So unfortunately, neither of my 3 pieces can take this d7 pawn. Nice find by my opponent, so I have to go here. But now he checks me. Only move is here. And now he finds a brilliant move, knight f5, with a knight sacrifice. But it's not hard to find, but still it's flashy. So if I go here, then I'm checkmated in 1 move like this. This is checkmate in 1. If I go here or here, he has some nasty discovered attacks like this, discovered checks, and I'm losing. So I have to take the sacrifice, but now he has rook g1. And if I go here, this is checkmate. If I go here, this is checkmate in 1. If I go here, this is checkmate in a couple of moves. So I tried, if I go here, he takes here, and I cannot do anything about this threat and this threat, so double threats. If I go here, for example, protecting the knight, then this is mate in 1. So unfortunately, I cannot block with the knight like this. I try blocking like this, which is a move that's prolonging the agony. And I thought that if he takes like this, I cannot take because there is a mate in 1, but I can please go here and like pretend that I can survive this position, even though it's hopeless. He's just killing me. But he's not even taking here, he takes here. And now again, this is a checkmate in 1 threatened. This is another checkmate threatened. I go rook here, but he just takes. And once I go here, he goes here. And this is a checkmate threatened. And if I go here, then this is, if I go here, rook f6, this is a checkmate. So I'm blocking my bishop. So unfortunately, I cannot defend myself. The only way to do this is to give up the queen, for example, but there's no use doing this. So I resigned, and it was a painful loss in 25 moves, one of the fastest losses in my classical chess career. But what to do? I risked it all. I was hoping I can create some chaos on the board and emerge the winner on the basis of some complications, but it did not work out, unfortunately. So in this tournament, up to this moment, I've won 3 games and lost 3 games. Very unstable performance. First round win, second round loss, third round win, fourth round loss, then win and loss. I hope that in the remaining 3 rounds I can score more wins than losses. Wish me luck, and don't forget to comment on this game, and see you in the next one.